And I called her up and I said, Marjorie, man, I'm so sorry. I saw that you had to close. She said, yeah. She said the foot traffic we just can't keep up with it. And so we started talking. I said, were you able to take advantage of the CARES Act, the ERTC loan money? I mean, rebate money. She goes, no, I'm closed, JP. I don't have a business anymore. I go, well, this is a big misconception. This is for years 2020 and 21. If you're closed now, you still qualify.
Oh my gosh.
And we got her in, we got her started, we got her going. She got $47,000 and she started crying because she was going to have to file bankruptcy this year because she still has bills from her closed restaurant that she has to pay, and she had no way to pay it. And again, this can be for businesses, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind making money as a businessman, but some of the impact that this can have on people can be life-changing.
Yeah. Greg Sheldon here, your host of Metal, Steel, Manufacturing, and Business Pro podcast, where you learn everything about the metals and manufacturing industry that make your modern day life possible.
Everybody, we got JP here today. Thank you all for coming to listen. We're going to learn a lot about some benefits you can find within your company. This is for U.S. companies only, as far as I'm aware, JP. Is that correct?
Correct.
And we're talking about the Employee Retention Credit program, which is not exactly the same as the PPP program. So we wanted to talk about that and spread the word that it has been extended to 2024 and 2025. Is that correct, JP?
Right.
And we just, want to go over it and talk about it so that people can understand how, if they qualify. So can you welcome? Thank you. Jay, appreciate you coming and talking to me today. So JP, tell us a bit about yourself first before we get into the ERTC.
I live in Nashville, Tennessee. I've been here 21 years now, and so this is pretty much home for me. I've lived longer here than any place I've ever been, even growing up. So I've been real fortunate. I'm retired military. I got out after the Gulf War, and I started moving around and doing different things. And I got into Six Sigma for different companies, and I was with the Renaissance Corporation. That's how I ended up here. Got out and opened up my own business, and I've been doing that ever since here in Nashville. So
cool, man. How was Six Sigma? How did you like that?
I loved it. I mean, I really didn't have to deal with people too much, which was always nice. A lot of math. I was really, really good at math. So it was, I did Six Sigma for Dell for a period of time there. They called it a BPI, but my biggest project was with Dell. I brought in and I basically changed an entire program for how they manufacture. And Six Sigma is based on either saving the company or making the company money by changing up the process. And that executive black belt was worth $170 million.
Holy lifting, man. Wow.
I got a plaque.
You got a plaque?
I got a plaque.
You didn't get 170 million? Cool, man. Well, that's interesting. That would probably work well with your military background, with that like systemizing of things, I would think.
Yeah, to a certain extent. But then, and when I got out of it, it was a lot of companies do Six Sigma, a lot of bigger companies. I mean, and some companies really embrace it as part of their culture. Ford Motor Company, it's part of their culture. The entire division, they actually give 1% to the people that do the Six Sigma stuff. You get 1% of your projects. Yeah. So it can be really good. Yeah. But a lot of people don't. Marriott, which bought out the Renaissance Corporation, didn't. And so they told me, pick a hotel anywhere in the world. You can be any division you want, but we're not doing Six Sigma anymore. So no big deal.
Yeah, there you go. Life changes, things change, and we roll with the punches, as the saying goes. So let's talk about the employee retention tax credit, because that's one of the offerings you do along with other things like LinkedIn what would you call it? LinkedIn recruiting or LinkedIn marketing or what?
LinkedIn prospect marketing.
Prospect marketing. Okay, cool.
But the ERTC stuff, which comes from the CARES Act, right? So that's what the government created. This is groundbreaking. There is, as far as I know, there's never been this much money available to a business in any government program that I've ever heard of. You know, and rebates are nothing new, right? I mean, everybody knows of Tesla. If you bought a Tesla years ago, you got a rebate. That's all it is. Same thing. The government gave you a tax rebate for you buying a Tesla. That's all this is, except it's an IRS payroll rebate. It's based on you paying, and it's for years 2020 and years 2021. The deadlines to file for years 2020 is April 2024, and for year 2021 is April 2025. So you just got to have your paperwork in by then to be able to claim the money.
Right. So is that that's from what I understand, what I've learned since we connected, is that like that extension was announced? When was that announced?
Only about 2 months ago.
Yeah. Okay.
And the reason the extension is how few businesses have taken advantage of the program. It was mind-boggling. Of all this money, $2.2 trillion was set aside for this. Less than 10% of the businesses in the country have taken advantage of this.
Man, oh man, that's crazy.
And it's because they don't believe it. Right? I mean, that's the number one reason. It's too good to be true. Right. I have 10 employees. You're going to give me $260,000. Right. Please give me a break. Right. And then so that's the number one reason is they don't believe it. They think it's something else. You mentioned when we were talking about the PPP.
Yes.
Right. That was a loan program. Now, they gave you loan forgiveness in certain aspects of it, but it was a loan. This is not a loan. This is actually money that the IRS is giving back to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then the other misconception is that they just never heard of it because the government isn't telling you. They would love. I mean, the government would love for it to stay at 10% and nobody else gets that money because guess who gets the money if the business will claim it? Right, the government. So they would love for it to stay that way and they get all that money back to spend some other way they want to.
Yeah.
So they're not promoting it like they did the PPP. The PPP was promoted because every bank got $2,500 to get you your PPP money. So everybody and their brother was promoting it. I mean, it was going nuts because it was big money for everybody. And this one is just, it's a different setup and people have a big misconception of it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess that's funny, eh? You know, you if you don't know about it or you haven't heard about it or it feels like it's too good to be true, it must be. And you're saying that's just not the case. Like you've got clients, right, that you've helped out. And do you have any examples that you can share?
Me. I have 7 employees, and this started out with a client coming to me and saying he wanted to promote this, and then we started talking about it, and he said, "Do you have employees?" I said, "Yeah." I got $78,000. This never would have believed this, and I would have never looked for it, and I would have never gone to get it. And then from clients, as soon as I kind of got brought into this process, I started calling some of my really good clients, people I knew. And, you know, there's some really smart people out there who just don't believe this is what it is.
That's right.
There's a company in downtown Nashville. I don't want to say their name because they didn't give me permission to promote them, but they're a digital company. They work with Fortune 1000 companies. These are smart people. They build apps and websites and all kinds of stuff. And I talked to the president and got him on the phone, and he said, "Yeah, I think we heard about it, but we don't think that's for us." I go, "You don't think it's for you? It's because you don't know what this is." I said, "You have what, 40 or 50 W-2 employees?" I said, that's $1 or $2 million. He goes, "What?" And sure enough, I mean, it ended up being based on their tax payments about $987,000, but that's free money. It's money returned to them from the government, and he would have never gone for it.
Yeah. So anybody listening could be like, okay, what's the catch? What can I do with the money? Like, so I have the money now. What can I do with it?
Good question. And there's basically, I'm not a tax expert. Please don't everybody take my advice as tax, but there's basically two schools of thought for this. One, if you put the money towards your business, buy new computers, buy new office furniture, give your employees a bonus, move to a better office, it's tax-free. It's free money. Literally do whatever you want with it. But you're the owner. It's your money. If you go ahead and let's say you got $100,000 and you gave 75,000 to your company, and took 25,000 and went yourself and bought a new car, that 25,000 would be taxable because it's income.
Okay.
But it's your call. You do what you want with the money. It's a tax payroll rebate. So if you use it, because that was taxes from your business, if you use it back to your business, it's free money. But it's your call. You do what you want with it.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's awesome.
I did just that. Gave some to the company and kept a little for myself.
Of course, yeah. But I mean, a little bit of income tax, no big deal. So who qualifies for this, JB?
So there are basically two qualifications only. It's very simple. One, you have to have W-2 employees, at least one. It's up to 500. Full-time, unlimited part-time. So a big restaurant chain that has, 50 locations and 1,000 part-time employees, they qualify for all 1,000, but it's 1 to 500 full-time. And you had to have a detriment during the pandemic.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all this is. A detriment during years 2020 and 2021. And that detriment is what you decide it is. If you lost money because you just didn't have as many customers walking into your restaurant, you win. And this is for nonprofits too. If you're a church and you had to close one Sunday or several Sundays because you weren't coming to church, you qualify. If your business was the ones that really don't are obviously ones that made money, businesses that were like 100% food delivery,
Sure.
Right? Uber didn't lose any money. They made money during this time frame. They wouldn't qualify. If you were a Papa John's or a Domino's, someplace that already was a solid only delivery model, you made money, so you wouldn't qualify. You as the business owner, you're going to know.
Of course.
You're going to know if you had a detriment. And that's it. W-2 employees, and you had a detriment in year 2021. That's it.
Okay. And so what's the process? I mean, it sounds like it's complicated, right? And is it the paperwork when it comes to doing this stuff? I mean, they reach out to JP or myself, and what's involved? How long does it take? Because these people are busy, right?
Very complicated. And if anybody has ever, let me back up. That's probably one of the reasons so many accountants and CPAs didn't get this done for their clients, because they know how to do it. Now, again, like I said, it's nothing new. Payroll tax rebates are nothing new, but it is very complicated. There's a lot of paperwork. There's a lot of exact paperwork that you have to have. I had a client that I was talking to. She kept all her receipts and everything in a written down journal.
Wow.
Well, that's great for taxes because you just take a calculator and you go like this, but that doesn't work for this. They've got to have electronic documents.
Okay.
So again, from a perspective of complication, it's a ton. But the CPAs who know how to do this know exactly the paperwork that you need. And they can walk you through, okay, like this lady who wanted to get the money, she has to take all of her yearly receipts and put them into QuickBooks. That's it. That's what she had to do and whatnot. And there's other paperwork and stuff that has to be filed and done. The CPAs, especially the CPAs we work with, we have 34 CPAs on staff. They know how to, they get it all done. They tell you what they need and whatnot. The process itself is, if I had all the paperwork in front of me, not me, but the CPA, if they had all the paperwork in front of them, 3 to 4 weeks. But that it's 3 to 6 months because of the client having to get all the paperwork together. Sometimes they have to create the paperwork,
right?
Because they didn't have it for that year. They didn't do this document that they have to do. So the time frame is really based on how long it takes to get all the documentation into the CPA's hands. Once it's in their hands, it's 3 to 4 weeks to get it all done.
Okay. Okay.
And then you get your money.
That's a pretty short period of time, really. You put a little bit of effort in and you get, well, so what's the amount per employee? Does it depend upon some things or?
Again, there's no way I could get into, but the maximum allowable based on what you paid and all the other stuff, it's $26,000 per employee.
Yeah. Like that adds up.
10 employee company. That's a small little HVAC company or a daycare.
Yeah.
That's $260,000. That's life changing.
Of course
I don't
it
care
is.
what you say. It's completely life changing. A restaurant. Thinking about a restaurant who their margins are small to begin with.
Mhm.
I mean, restaurants. I think I read an article once. An average restaurant's only 7 to 10% profit margin. That's their average. Think about that person getting $75,000.
Oh my gosh, man. Yeah. Reinvest that. I mean, the things you could do, right?
So real quick, I had a client that I live in Nolensville. It's a small town outside of Nashville. And I was looking at our local newspaper and it showed the restaurants that had closed during the pandemic.
Yeah.
And I was looking at one of the ladies and I knew them. My son, my 14-year-old son loves salads. I don't know what it is. I'd rather have a steak, but he loves salads. So this lady had all these kinds of crazy salads. So we went there all the time and I saw that she was closed. She closed this past September.
Right.
And I knew her. I was able to get her phone number from a friend from football. And I called her up and I said, Marjorie, man, I'm so sorry. I saw that you had to close. She said, yeah. She said the foot traffic we just can't keep up with it. And so we started talking. I said, were you able to take advantage of the CARES Act, the ERTC loan money? Rebate money. She goes, no, I'm closed, JP. I don't have a business anymore. I go, well, this is a big misconception. This is for years 2020 and 21. If you're closed now, you still qualify.
Oh my gosh.
And we got her in, we got her started, we got her going. She got $47,000 and she started crying because she was going to have to file bankruptcy this year because she still has bills from her closed restaurant that she has to pay and she had no way to pay it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this can be for businesses, which, I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't mind making money as a businessman, but some of the impact that this can have on people can be life changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's there. It's just a little bit of paperwork, right?
It's a hit. Just some paperwork.
And you'll guide people through that process, right?
Absolutely. All we need to get a client started is the name of the business, the industry the owner's name, email, phone number, how many employees they had in 2020 and 2021. That's it. The CPAs will take over and from there and get with the client on what paperwork they need.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Well, that's really cool, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. So what other things have you run into any issues doing this with anybody? Has anybody been, had any issues of not being able to, other than the taking the hand scratches and turning them into digital? I mean, that would be difficult, but has there been any issues, hiccups along the way?
No, I mean, there is no hard and fast rule because everybody's taxes are different. It can depend on how much money you pay for their health care. Maybe the building you own. I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into play in taxes, but there's nothing for you to do except get the paperwork to the CPAs. They will give you an estimate, then they'll finish out the paperwork and get everything done. And that when you get a check coming in, you get a check coming in. It's just, there's nothing else to do. One of the biggest, again, we were talking about, people, why haven't people taken advantage of this?
Yeah.
The biggest credibility that I can give you is go to the internet, type in the CARES Act, and go to the U.S. Treasury website. It's all right there.
It's all right there. I've looked it up myself. It's there.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can't figure it out. I mean, it's still
no, it's like a zillion pages.
But that's it right there. It's proof positive that this is a real program. It's just and I think a lot of what happened too is this program's been going on for about 9 months. And early on, some of the players that were in there,
There was that.
It looked like just a step below used car salesman. I mean, you didn't believe, or those insurance guys that are always, running the ads about, slip and falls. You just didn't. Yeah, this is.
Yeah. Well, and there were people that kind of ruined it for a lot of us, right? And we just saw these people taking full advantage of it. They had no business, but they were, getting benefits from these things. And yeah.
Most of the guys out there, the bigger players, they're just going after the big companies. They want the guy who met me, who started me on, his first big deal was 300 employees, $6 million for the company. He made, I don't know, $400,000 or $500,000 commission. Yeah. That's what they want. I focus on, the people with
the smaller ones,
10 employees or left. This is groundbreaking change for their life.
That's right. That's right. It is. So is there a minimum on the number of employees? Did you say one? It can be one?
The government allows one. Unfortunately, the company of the CPAs that we represent has a minimum of 3.
Okay.
But that being said, I do know a couple CPAs who are willing to do this for 1 or 2 people. So if somebody only has 1 or 2 W-2s, I can send them over to a CPA that I know that will do the paperwork for them.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Where can people find you? And I'll put the links in the description of the video, but where can they find you?
Well, my email is pretty simple. It's jp@jacconsulting.com. I'm on LinkedIn. If you type in JP Van Dyke in LinkedIn, I'll fill up 3 pages. So it's easy to figure out who I am. I've been on LinkedIn since it was created. So it's not hard to find me if you type in my name. So
what were your user number, 2000 or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 3075 or something.
Oh my gosh, man.
But it's funny when LinkedIn started, it was just this idea. And back then, of course, it's a completely different platform. We still had what they called mail then, and you could direct mail anybody on LinkedIn. You didn't have to be connected to them then.
Oh, wow.
And back then, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Forbes, those are the only people that were on there besides how I got invited. And I sent a message to Bill Gates, and he answered me.
Get out of here.
I should have printed it out or something, but that was how the platform started, and I was on there at its inception. So.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, man. Cool. All right. Well, appreciate your time, sir.
Thank you.
And I appreciate you sharing that with everybody, because I think there's a lot of good that can be done here. So anybody that's listening, reach out to JP or connect with myself, and we'll figure it out. So JP's got the experience, that's for sure. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right. Have a great day.
Okay, you too. Bye-bye.
Greg Sheldon here, your host of Metal, Steel, Manufacturing, and Business Pro podcast, where you learn everything about the metals and manufacturing industry that make your modern day life possible.